attention to the people in the street, crying out for accountability.
Hey guys, like I've been telling you, I am in Washington, D.C. this week touring the whole place. We're here for Glenn Beck's rally, but afterwards we spent a couple of days touring the whole city. You may be wondering who this is beside me. This is my brother Darren, and if any of you have read the history section of the website, you'll know that he was the one who originally pushed me to start learning about our history and politics so that I could become informed, and every now and then he'll write a small article on the website when he gets time. But we wanted to tell you about some of the experiences that we have had this week touring our capital. And the first place we got to go to on early Saturday morning at 4 a.m. before Glenn Beck's Restoring Our Rally, we went up to the Lincoln Memorial itself, and Darren had the greatest and deepest experience there, so I'm going to let him share about our experience there.
Like Karen said, we got to it about 4 in the morning, the night of Glenn's rally, or the morning of Glenn's rally, I should say. And walking up into it, it was just awe-striking. I mean, it was amazing. It was a little bit eerie. You could almost feel like a presence there of just the greatness of this country, of this city. And so you're sitting there staring at Lincoln all lit up. And you look to your left, and then there's the Gettysburg Address on the left. You look to the right, and there's the second inaugural address. And I read both of them, but what really spoke to me was the second inaugural address. The second half of it was really like a sermon. And it was moving. I mean, it was very powerful. And probably the most famous part of that address is the very end, the very last paragraph, which I'm going to read to you here. It says, "With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations." And this spoke to me. I mean, it really puts a perspective, I think, for what's going on today in our country, you know, the environment, the political ideologies. And yes, thankfully, we do not have any actual battle going on, but we do have, I believe, a spiritual battle going on in this country, and obviously a political battle. And you know, Lincoln really states the key to fixing that, and that's putting God back in the center. And I really think that it was so clear to me, it was almost scary, and I really felt the Lord speaking to me while I was in there.
Yeah, it was, I think, the most powerful place we visited at the time we were here. I think that's my second favorite, had to have been the National Archives. That's where they house all of our founding documents, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. They even had the Magna Carta in there, which I thought was kind of interesting. But, of course, the Constitution and Declaration really spoke to us a lot. Just reading them and getting to see our founders' words on this paper and how they allowed for the freedoms we have in this country and how they put God at the center. And we also, what kind of tied in with that is we also went to the National History Museum. And besides all the other things they have in that museum, they have a section on modes of transportation and showing how the U.S. started out with just a little horse-drawn carriage and the railroad, and how it went to, you know, bigger carriages and better trains, and then eventually to the Model T and the cars and you know, bigger cars, and now the subway and greater trains. And it was just incredible to see how, you know, far America has come and all that they've accomplished. In 200 years we accomplished, you know, things like that. But it was allowed because our founding documents allowed men to dream and to create things freely. And not really any other countries allow that, but the United States did, because the founders knew that God had given man free will, and that men were free to exercise that will. It just, again, you see God at the heart of this entire capital and working throughout our nation. We did get to spend a little bit of time touring the Capitol and the White House. They don't really let you have long tours anymore, and we didn't get to see everything in the buildings. But again, it was just very, very powerful seeing where our nation's government is having its inner workings. And when you walk into the rotunda of the Capitol, you see all these paintings chronicling the beginning of our nation. It starts with Columbus and the Pilgrims and Washington. It's just incredible seeing the greatness of our nation and how far it's come. But it's always started with God. The painting of the Pilgrims, they're signing the Mayflower Compact, which is based in God. It was just incredible. Yeah.
I think what's really, without a doubt, you can't mistake that God was the center of our founding fathers. You walk around and you see obviously the famous monuments that we've spoken of, and some that are not so famous, and just flags here and there. It is very hard to find one of those without mentioning God and putting God in the center. And it's just, to me, evidence that that's the way it was supposed to be. And you have to be purposefully ignoring the fact that God is the center of this country if you are to walk around this great city and just read the things that are on the walls and on these monuments. It's aggravating because there's no denying that our forefathers, our founding fathers, made sure that He was the center and is the reason for this great nation. And literally made it sure that He was the center. If you study the outline of the city, if you take the Capitol building, the Washington Monument, and the Lincoln Memorial, it's in a straight line, and then off the two sides is the White House over here and the Jefferson Memorial over here, and it forms a perfect cross with the Washington Monument as the kind of the center of the cross beam. And that everything in the city revolves around that. A cross is the center of this capital city. And so even in the layout of the city, God is at the heart, and it's going out to the nation. And I think one of the big things that we have taken away from this trip is that if our nation turns back to God and even just looks around our capital city and realizes how big of a part that God played in the founding of our nation, that the hearts of our leaders could be changed, if they really realized and grasped this idea, and there could be immense changes in our nation. It takes us realizing it too. The only way we're going to be able to change the climate in this country is to put God back in the center of it. No matter what your belief is, there is no changing history. That this is what this country was founded on, was those Judeo-Christian principles set forth by God. And obviously one of the biggest ones was freedom. Okay, well, we're gonna be heading back home today, and we just wanted to thank y'all for kind of joining us with this tour. Before we go though, I wore my Washington D.C. shirt because I enjoyed it. Yes, it's a very nice shirt. I happen to really like it. It's colorful. Okay, what is with the Man Up T-shirt? Seriously. Yeah. It's not D.C. I'm sure it is. It's very patriotic. Everybody in this country needs to man up and do the right thing. Yeah.